Hello, my name is, that's right, and this is the last episode from this amazing hip joint series. Amazing, why amazing? I could say advanced, one of the most advanced movement sequences for the hip joints you might find on YouTube or anywhere else in this regard. Advanced in the sense of fine motor control of the pelvis. So what a concept, fine motor control of the pelvis in relation to the rest of yourself. So rest of yourself not only in movement but also in your skill or ability to observe yourself while moving, your awareness and mindfulness, and not only that but also understanding. I mean, what a concept, understanding yourself, understanding your movements, what moves when you move something and for what reason, what does this do with you. So very advanced, hard to explain to anyone. So this part of my videos, the beginning, the speaking part, is for me always the most difficult part, and also the part where I lose the most viewers. So maybe we should just skip it. Let's start. Come to lie on your back. It is recording. Yes, on your back. Okay, in a supine position on the back. We will start on the back. Let's start with the lesson. On the back, in a supine position on the back. Let's start with the lesson. Where is your pelvis? Where are your hip joints? And then bend your right knee a little bit. So your right knee comes a little bit closer to the ceiling. So do this a couple of times. And you remember from last lesson, your pelvis will tilt towards your right hip joint if you lift your right knee. And when you lift your left knee, your pelvis will tilt to your left hip joint and everything in between. Right? You remember that from last time? And then we could do this with the feet standing. So bend your knees, stand your right foot, your left leg extended, and lift your right knee. Same thing. The pelvis will tilt towards the right hip joint. And when you stand your left foot instead and have your right leg long, so the left knee is bent, your left foot is standing, and you lift your left knee just a tiny little bit, not enough to lift off the foot, but enough to tilt your pelvis, so not with your core muscles, you're completely relaxed. I'm in Asia, like a bag of rice, the upper body completely relaxed, and just you lift your left knee a little bit, so your pelvis has the chance, the reaction. It reacts to the movement of your leg. The pelvis rolls towards your left hip joint, or with both feet standing, so you can control the movement. So you can, when you lift your right knee, the pelvis rolls to the right, but when you lift your left knee, it rolls more to the left. Then you can roll your pelvis in a half circle or in a ellipse. And we had one more position of the leg, I think in the second lesson. Also the left knee bent and the leg lying on the floor, the left knee on the floor and the right leg extended. So that was another position where we went with the left foot behind the right knee in a bridge, half bridge. So, but have the right leg extended and lift the left knee to tilt and roll your pelvis. So that's a different position. Very different mechanic, might look very similar on video, not a big difference, but it feels very different to standing the foot or the leg extended. But same thing, the leg is there, the leg is still attached to the same hip joint. Or with the other knee bent, and or both feet together and both knees bent. So 3 different positions of the legs, same movement, lifting of the knee to roll your hip joint. Just a little review, a little preparation for this lesson, but to be honest, nothing will prepare you for what lies ahead. Except for if you have done the previous lesson. So there was a preparation for what lies ahead, but still we need to climb that mountain. We are going to that mountain. And I will lead you through this last lesson step by step. I will guide you. And if you go slow enough and careful enough, everybody, everyone can get there, provided you take good care of yourself. You don't hurt. So a steep climb ahead. So step by step. Be on your back, extend your legs, both legs extended, and stand your right foot, the knee towards the ceiling, the right leg is bent. So, and instead of lifting the knee, which will tilt your pelvis towards your right hip joint, push your right knee towards the floor with your right foot standing. In other words, push the right foot against the floor. So your right hip joint will lift and your pelvis will roll to the left. Yes? Okay. So, and when you have a concept for this, an understanding, a feeling for that, bring your arms overhead on the floor, rest them overhead on the floor with your face towards the ceiling. So you're facing the ceiling. So, and the arms overhead. And continue with the same movement. So you push with your right foot against the floor to lift your right hip joint off the floor. And also, of course, when you do this, use your back muscles. So it's not just the leg muscles. So you initiate the movement with the foot and the pelvis, and also use your back muscles like we did before. But keep looking forwards. Keep looking towards the ceiling. Have both arms up. And you can do this faster or slower, just to have a good feeling for this movement. So this is our preparation for what's ahead. A couple of times. And then let go again. Bring the arms down again, your legs down again, and see, how was that? Do you already feel a difference from this little asymmetrical movement? So can you feel your right hip joint different than the left one? Let's catch up with the left one. So stand your left foot, your left knee towards the ceiling, both arms overhead, press down with your left foot against the floor, which means to drive the knee actually against the floor to lift, which lifts your left hip joint. And also use your back muscles, but keep looking forwards. And do this a couple of times. It's like in cooking, when you melt butter. Once it's melted, we don't need to go any further, but it needs to melt. Just have a feeling that this is working. The pelvis is rolling, there's a differentiation in your hip joint. Okay. Take a short break. Then we continue with, why not with the left leg? So stand your left foot. And the same movement, push with your left foot against the floor to roll your pelvis, but with your left hand, reach around your head to your right temple and to drag your head to the left. So you use your hand to slide the head to the left while you push with your foot against the floor. So they work together. The head is moving to the left while your pelvis is rolling to the right. So here we go, yes? And keep looking mostly forwards towards the ceiling. although that's not such a strict rule, but we want to have the side bending. So the push of the foot against the floor, the pelvis rolls, you have this connection from your foot up in the half bridge to the twisted spine, the head to the left. A couple of times, again, like melting the butter. Once the butter is melted, there's no need to melt it any further. Then keep your head to the left. So stay in this end position of the head to the left, the pelvis up. So your side bend to the left, your left hand, you can reach with your left hand for your left foot. Stay with your head to the left. Stay to the left, just lower your pelvis. So roll the pelvis back to the floor and up again. So your head stays to the left, your spine stays bent to the left, and you push more or less with your left foot against the floor, so you roll your pelvis right and left. Just you roll your pelvis to the right and back to the floor again, back down again. And keep your left knee towards the ceiling, mostly towards the ceiling. And feel the hip extension. So you push down with your left feet, you drive your left knee towards the floor, but there's your lower leg, and then your left hip joint lifts and down again. All right, and then return to your resting position. And feel the difference between your left side and your right side, the aftermath of this movement. Still our preparation. And then we move on to the other side. So stand your right foot, have your left leg extended, stand the right foot, your right knee bent. With your right hand, reach over your head, grab the left temple, and with the help of your right arm, pull the head to the right, while you push with the right foot against the floor to roll your pelvis to the left. And keep your right knee pointed more or less towards the ceiling while you do this movement. So you bend to the right while you roll the pelvis to the left. And back again until you have this movement ready to ship. And then stay with your head to the right in this strong side bend position. When you, if you like, you can use your right hand to get hold of your right foot and just return your pelvis to the floor. Yes, and see how you can accommodate that. Again, you stay with your head to the right and you just roll your pelvis to the left and back so the pelvis is lying on the floor again. And do this a little bit faster, and you can do it smaller and faster, or wider and faster. You can do it more wildly, wild movements, wild rolling. How wild can this get? Wildlife. And then more delicately, more controlled, so you can feel what you're doing with your left leg, or what the left leg is doing on its own. The right knee, the pelvis, does it roll to the left, or is it more up and to the left? Is it more side bending also? A little twist? What are the details of this movement? When you start to observe your vertebra and your chest and your ribs, how they come together on the right side and open on the left side, how this affects your breathing, how far you can actually bend to the right, how tight can you make the situation on the right side, how open can you be on your left side. And then come back onto your back. take a short rest on your back. And then, again, stand your left foot, bend your left knee, and with your left hand, get hold of your left knee underneath the kneecap. So, yes. If you cannot reach it at first, make a second approximation, like come back to center and then try again. Try it a couple of times until you can hold your knee not from above, not from the direction of your thigh, from the front, but from the side. With the left hand, come from the side and hold your left knee underneath or on the kneecap. You can start at your foot. Catch your left knee. Yes, see, that's the challenges. That's the steep mountain we're going to climb in this lesson. Approximations, you can come back to center or try it on the right side and then return to the left side. And then once you are in this position, once you can hold your left knee, roll your pelvis to the right. A couple of times. Yes, so tight situation here. How can you roll the pelvis to the right while you hold your left knee with your left hand? A little bit unusual setup. Let's try it on the other side. So first come back. Wow, so this might already feel quite different in your left side. First, of course, we don't rush to the other side, take a break in the middle, see how it feels like to be in the middle again. Then, after you felt that, wow, there's an after effect to a movement. Stand your right foot and with your right hand get hold of your right knee from under the kneecap. And then the same movement. You're holding your right knee and then push with your right foot to roll the pelvis to the left. Yes, and so we should not forget the techniques we are learning in this series. So you push down with your right foot. It's like you push down with your right knee onto your right foot, and then the right foot in turn is pushing against the floor. And because of all this pushing down of the right knee, the pelvis, the right hip joint lifts, which in turn rolls the pelvis, and there's a connection to all the other parts in the body. So just try to see if you can make this position possible and this movement possible somehow. Then do it a couple of times. Maybe 5 times, 10 times until you have a feeling, yeah, I can do it at least. And then come back onto your back and see if you're still the same person. Okay. How are you breathing? And we will continue on the belly. So please turn around, come to lie onto your belly. Okay, and now, would you please with your right hand take hold of your right knee again, just like we did it on the back. So with your right hand, hold your right knee underneath your kneecap. Yes. And if you can't reach it at first, don't force it. Because you might cramp. Try again. Just try to get hold of your right knee
with your right hand, just like before, on your kneecap, underneath your kneecap. Or maybe you want to try it with your left hand. So with your left hand, get hold of your left knee. And then with your right hand, get hold of your right knee until, until you can hold it. And then lift it. Yes, so, but before we lift it, yes, so this is the challenge, to lift the right knee while you hold it, while you're on your belly. But remember, so this might be a difficult movement, so remember what we did before. Before we were lying on the front side with the legs extended, and you just press your right knee a little bit against the floor, and then in another movement you were lifting the knee from the floor and you brought your hip joint closer towards the floor. Do you remember this movement with the leg extended? So that was a fairly easy movement. Now it's the same thing, just the knee is bent and you're holding your right knee. So you can still push with your knee against the floor, or you can lift your right knee so your right hip joint comes closer to the floor, and then the right knee lifts off the floor. And of course you can help with the left leg. So you can push with your left knee against the floor, with the left foot against the floor, in order to help lift the right knee. Okay, and then at the same time extend your left arm on the floor overhead. And when you lift your right knee, lift your left arm and look up to your left hand. We drive the point home. You're looking to your pointer finger on your left hand while you lift your right knee. Little bit slippery. I should have wear a long trouser. Okay, so again. And you can try it on the other side, on the left side. With the left hand, hold your left knee, try to lift your left knee, and the right arm extended on the floor, lift your right arm and look to your right hand. So same thing, just the other side. You can switch from one side to the other until you get things done. And remember the action of the hip joint, the slightly pressing with the knee against the floor and the lifting of the knee off the floor, and then how the hip joints come closer to the floor and away from the floor, and how the pelvis is rolling and the connection from the pelvis. Like all the things we did in the last 5 lessons now shows how good you're with that, how good you can use those things you have learned and can employ them in this challenging, yes, it's a challenge, a very challenging movement. Or instead of looking with your eyes, of course, instead of looking to your hand that is up, you can look down to your knee. So with your head, feel free to look wherever you want to, or turn to make this movement possible at first. Okay. So then please come to lie on your back again and turn around. Take a break on your back and see how it is to lie on your back now. Then stand your right foot, bend your right knee, and with your right hand get hold of your right knee. And see, wow, that might have improved quite a bit. So, possible. And do the same movement like before. So with your right hand, you're holding your right knee, the left leg is extended, and then push the right knee down on the floor against your right foot and the right foot against the floor to roll the pelvis to the left. And you can use your back muscles. Yes, okay, and then we do the Elvis Presley, the connection from the pelvis rolling to the left pointer finger, driving the point home. So while you're pushing with your right foot against the floor, slide your left arm on the floor, up over your head and look towards your left pointer finger. So put this movement together. The right foot pushes against the floor, which lifts the right hip joint, which turns the pelvis to the left, which engages the back muscles, shortens your right side, puts you in a twist that allows you to lift your left or slide your left hand on the floor up and down again. Or we do the other side. While you do the same movement, look with your eyes towards your right hand or your right foot even. So you push with your right foot against the floor, you look with your eyes to your right foot, you roll the pelvis. Smooth like butter. We're melting the butter here. So do this until you have a good feeling for this movement. You understand the concept, you're understanding the movements, how the foot is connected up to your pinky, not the pinky, the pointer finger, driving the point home. How everything connects, and at the same time observe, breathe, feel how you breathe in the left side that it's opening, how the right side is folding, twisting, how your spine is twisting, and how the hip joint is part of the centerpiece of the whole thing, but so neatly integrated in the whole body movement. It's not a problem of the hip joint anymore. It's just a whole body movement. All right, so then come to rest on your back. And we will do the same thing. Of course, on the left side, stand your left foot with your left hand, get hold of your left knee. So how is that now? Hold your left knee. Is that like more, just feels more natural, like no biggie. Just put the left hand below your left knee,
actually that's not so difficult. And then push down your left knee to push with your left foot on the floor, which in turn lifts your left hip joint, rolls the pelvis to the right, opens your right side, brings the ribs of your left side together, brings you in your side bending and in a twist, and then you can flare up with your right hand to look at your right pointer finger. Or to do a variation, instead of looking towards your right hand that is going up, you look down to your left foot. Ah, what an amazing movement, huh? We put everything together. So, then please take a last rest on your back. You could try the first movement again if you like, to stand one foot or to just bend one knee and feel how smoothly, how easy, how natural that feels to roll your pelvis by the means of your legs and hip joints. How well that connects throughout your spine. Your rib cage is not resisting the movement but folding, reacting. It's just a pleasure to have a body like this, isn't it? All right, so all that is left to do is rise up. So I address you as your new self. So rise up, and we will going to see the world in standing. So how is this? How does your new self feel? Very natural, doesn't it? Very natural. It's like nothing big happened. Everything connects. The legs work smoothly, the back is flexible. Let's skip the talking. Thank you for watching. It was my pleasure to have you. Thanks to all my patrons for making this possible. These movement videos, these advanced movement lessons. I wish you all the best and see you in the next video.